Okay, we're going to start. So sit however is comfortable. You know, you're welcome to sit up on blankets if you want to. And take your time. Be comfortable. Let your eyes gently close. Just lengthen up through the top of your head. Let your shoulders feel nice and wide and open. And just enjoy accepting your breaths in and out. Start to circle, keeping the torso nice and long, letting yourself come into these easy little circles. Exhaling as you come forward and inhaling as you circle back. And you can get as big or stay as small as you want with the circles. Ready to reverse directions, you stop wherever you choose and let yourself come off in the other direction. And next time that you come forward, stay forward in a little seated forward bend. Doesn't matter how far you go, that's totally up to you. You know that. So you can stay up higher. You can let yourself release farther forward. See if you can release through your neck. Let your face soften. Come up enough to walk over towards your left, and you'll kind of come out over to the side a little bit, but then go ahead and let your left hand come farther back to support you as you open into a side stretch. So if you need to come into a straighter left arm under there beneath you do, or maybe you like to bend your elbow, just let yourself breathe into the right side. And then we'll come on back to face the floor so we can walk back through center. And we're going to go all the way over to the other side. So again, the right hand gives you a little bit of support there, and you can open up into that left side stretch. Good, and then we'll turn to face down again and walk on back into center. And then we'll walk ourselves all the way on back up. And let's release our hands on out to the floor beside us, and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now let's inhale the hands out from our shoulders. Rotate your palms up towards the ceiling. And then bend your elbows. And let your fingertips come to the tops of your shoulders. And start to circle your elbows. They can be little circles, or they can get bigger and bigger. It depends on how it feels in your shoulders, whether you want your circles to stay small or get bigger. And then when you're ready to reverse, you stop where you choose and just let your circles come the other way. Good. And then we're going to release and unfold our arms on down the side. Circle through your wrists a little bit there. Shake your hands out. And then we're going to switch the cross of our legs if we're cross-legged. So if you need to stretch your legs out for a second, do. And Bring yourself to the other side if you'd like to be cross-legged there. And then let's go ahead and come into those moving circles on this side as well. So letting yourself, again, move in those circular motions with your torso. Feeling the exhales bring you forward and the inhales bring you back. We're going to stop and change directions again, so letting yourself stop where you choose and coming off in the other direction. And then again, when you come forward, let yourself stay there and bring your hands down to give you support. Again, coming as far forward as you like in this seated forward bend, where your back feels okay. And keep your hands centered, all right? Keep yourself to center, but let your shoulders just shift a little bit to one side and then the other. So you may be down on your forearms, you may be up on your hands, but just let your torso kind of shift a little bit side to side, just so it feels good. You feel at the top of one hip and then the other. Good, and then we'll make our way back into center. And let's walk ourselves all the way on back up again, letting our hands come on out beside us. And inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. And then let's unfold our arms beside us, stretch our legs out here, and really move through your feet and your ankles a little bit here. Kind of shake out, wiper blades if you want to, whatever feels really good. Because we're going to head around towards our hands and knees. So you know, if you'd rather get a blanket to be underneath anywhere, under your hands or under your knees, do. Spread your fingers nice and wide. If you need to stretch your legs out a little bit, do it. And get comfortable with the placement of your hands and your knees. And then we'll go ahead and start to move through our cat-cows. So just allowing that tailbone to initiate here. If you can, think about feeling the tops of the toes into the ground, just gently, not harsh, just you feel the toenails a little bit into the floor. Good. And then the next time you come up into cat pose, let yourself stay there. And then shift just a little bit forward so that you come just a little forward with your shoulders or head. You're still keeping your belly engaged. You're still rounded up. And then shift back a little bit. Send your tailbone back and up and come into your cow pose. And this time see if you can shift your hips back just a little bit. So your shoulders come just a little behind your wrists, right? And then come on back into center again. And let's bring our left foot forward, our right foot back to come into our first lunge. So you know whatever support you want underneath your hands. Bringing that back knee up so that you come into the lunge here. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Enjoy. Now coming into releasing into all through the whole back of that right leg. Lift your left heel up briefly, just for a second. It doesn't matter how high, whatever feels good for you. And then bring your heel on back down to the floor, and we're going to switch legs. Bringing our right foot forward. So coming into that lunge, getting aligned there. Feel that, again, nice release in the back of that left leg, but also imagine your left inner thigh reaching up towards the ceiling. And then lift the right heel up. Again, how high up you want to bring that front heel is up to you. Just feel your quad a little deeper there. Bring the heel on back down. And we're going to switch again. And then once we're here, let's add a little twist. Bringing our left hand to our left hip and rolling the shoulder up. You can keep your hand down on your sacrum, or you can stretch the arm up if you choose. And then we'll bring that left hand back down. We're going to switch legs. So coming to that other side, and again, once you get your lunge established, when you're ready to bring that right hand up and roll that shoulder up, let it feel good. You can stretch your arm up if you want to, or keep your hand down. And then we'll come on back with our hand down, and we'll step forward from here, coming on into standing forward bend. Feet and hips distance apart and parallel. And see if you can walk a little bit, lifting a heel at a time and bending the knee of that leg that the heel is up on, so that you really get onto the balls of your feet. And you can even have both heels up at the same time briefly before you lower one down. So you actually really come up, sort of like you have on high heel shoes, right? You come up with both heels, your legs are straight, and then you bend one knee and lower that opposite heel. Just let it feel good. Working through the feet. And then finish off. Come on back into center. Let your knees soften a little bit. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. And release to where you're comfortable, whatever kind of support you need. So if you like to put your hands on blocks or elbows above your knees, do. Go right to feeling your breath now. Coming in to expand your ribs. Think about letting your jaw release. And we'll let our hands now float on up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose here now. So adjust your feet as you will. Take your time. Let yourself get the feet just where you feel like you're the most easily grounded equally through them. Gaze coming on forward and out. Shoulders nice and wide and open. Just enjoy letting your body really come into its alignment here. Once you get your pelvis into alignment, it's very easy. The body wants to be aligned. And as we unfold our arms right on down beside us, we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend your knees as you come on forward into that standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back wherever you like your hands to be. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge here. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Spread those fingers wide. Hug your elbows towards each other a little bit. If you need to walk, if you need to wag, do what feels really good to get into your dog. Any kind of movement that helps you. And then see if you can come into your dog and let yourself watch your breath. Really feeling almost like you're breathing into your back body. And then on the next inhale, we're going to come out towards a plank, nice and strong. Engage your belly here. Feel your sitting bones reaching down towards your heels. Good. We're going to lower down. Knees first if you choose. Elbows right by the ribs. So let's come on into Sphinx with our elbows close to under our shoulders if we can. Bring your gaze between your hands. Take your time. Feel the tops of the feet on the floor gently, belly gently engaged. But feel that nice openness through the front of the body all the way. Really stretches the belly. Now, as you lower down the upper body, you're going to bend your knees. So bring yourself down, but slide your hands by your chest as you bend your knees. Flex your feet. And let's come through a half push-up here. So pressing into the floor, coming up. You're right on the flesh above your knees here now. And then lower down again with that half push-up. Elbows right by the ribs, coming down to the floor. And then bring your feet back to the floor. And you can come back to your down dog from here however you want. Through a full push-up, a half push-up, or just back to your hands and knees and back to dog. And let's bring our right foot forward to come into lunge from here. Remember, you can put your left knee down to get there. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend. Now, you might want support under your hands for this one. We're going to put our right foot a little more in the midline, cross our left ankle in front, so that you now have, your toes are facing forward, your feet are pretty parallel. You're coming into really much more deeply into that back leg, right? So feeling both the hamstring and maybe into your IT band on that back leg. And again, bend your knees if you need. You can come up higher on your blocks rather than have your hands lower if you want. And just breathe. Good. One more breath. And now we're going to uncross, and all we're going to do is switch. So now the right ankle comes in front. Again, your toes are facing forward, and you know, you'll probably be rolling a little bit on that right foot. That's fine. But try to endeavor to think about whether you could get the whole foot on the floor. And then just appreciate what's happening in that back leg, maybe. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to uncross and get our feet right back underneath us and go ahead and bend our knees and bring our hands to our hips and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Unfolding our arms, let's clasp our hands behind us and let yourself reach your hands down to where your arms are fairly straight. Not locking your elbows, but your arms are fairly straight. Feeling that sense of a lot of space between your ears and your shoulders. Feeling open across your chest. And let's do 1 3-part breath here. Inhaling into the belly, then the ribs and the chest. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward. Now you can keep going all the way over your legs, or you can stay more parallel to the floor. You know that, whatever your back wants. And if you can release your arms off your back at all, do. If it's too much, don't do it. And then we're going to take one more full deep breath. And then release our arms on down and let our next inhale help us find that long, flat back. Remember, you can bend your knees to do that. And we're going to step the left foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Really spread your fingers nice and wide. If you need to look at your hands and make sure they're fairly even on the mat, do. Elbows bending a little bit, hugging in a little towards the midline there. And then reaching back, let yourself feel your head come into line with your spine. You can come into straighter legs, or you can keep your knees bent in dog. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to plank. So engaging the belly here. Now lower down again. You can put your knees down first, elbows right by the ribs. And we'll come into a little cobra at first. In fact, raise your hands up and let the hands come into a fist. Kind of squeeze a little bit with your thumbs on top in your fist. And then open your hands back, bring them back down to the floor. And if you want to go up higher in your cobra, go for it. You can press into your hands and come up higher, or you can stay down low. Elbows hugging in towards the ribs. Good. And from here, we're going to shift back to pose of a child. So letting yourself come on back, bringing the toes to come big toes together. Shift your way back. And then come up enough to thread the needle with your left arm through and come on down to the left side of your head if you can. You know, if your hips are up, it's fine. Whatever you can do to release your shoulder there. And then bring the right hand back to press your way up, and we're just going to switch and thread the needle with that right arm coming under. And again, Try to just let yourself release there. Feel the space between the shoulder blades on the back. Good, and then we'll come on back again, arms overhead here, in your child's pose. And then let's come on out and forward. And now from here, go ahead and come all the way to where you have your knees bent again. You're on the flesh above your knees. Good, and this, we're going to lower down again, all the way down to the floor. And then bring your feet back down to the floor. Let's come into Cobra again, right? So you can come to the tops of the toes. Let yourself come into a Cobra here. And then we're going to come back down to the floor this time, and we're going to come back into down dog, whether you come through a half or a full push-up, reaching your way back. And this time left foot will come forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend. Watching your breath. And just accept your breath in and out. Let yourself feel the inhales and exhales perhaps becoming a little more even. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, bend our knees, and come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right up through the midline here now, and then clasp your hands and turn your palms up towards the ceiling. If you need to bring your arms a little forward, by all means do. Feel space between your shoulders and your ears. And then just come over to the left a little bit. Keep pressing up into the heel of the right hand. Let yourself find a little bit more through the side there. Feeling the space between the ribs as you breathe into the right ribs. And then we'll come on back up to the top, and we're going to go the other side. So pressing now into the heel of the left hand. Feel your left foot pressing down into the floor as well. And then breathe into the left ribs so you feel the sense of more space when you inhale between the ribs. Good, and then we'll come on back up to the top. Bring your hands down behind to the back of your head. And just gently press the back of your head into your hands. Now when you do that, make sure you don't tuck your tailbone forward. Feel the tailbone still reaching down towards between your heels. One more breath. And then unfold your arms on down beside you. And we'll bring our hands then up to be together in front of our chests, in front of our hearts. Find your mountain pose for a breath. And now we'll unfold our arms. We're going to move with our breath. Inhale the arms all the way out and up. And let your exhale bring you forward. Let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. And exhale right foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward dog. Let your next inhale bring you to plank. And your exhale will lower you down. And inhale into your Cobra of choice. Exhaling back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees rising all the way up to the top. And let your exhale carry you forward. Inhale, nice long back. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale carry you to plank. Your exhale will lower you down. And inhale into your Cobra. And exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to standing forward then. Bend the knees, rising, floating all the way to the top. And let your exhale carry you forward. Inhale, long back. We're going to come into down dog however you want to get there. So take your time, jump or walk. Ease your way there. Walk if you need to in your dog. Bend your knees. Let your head go if you like to move your head around and turn it a little bit. Or even pull your chin towards your chest a little and then bring your head back into line. Good. our left foot forward from here. And have your blocks handy. We're coming to warrior two. So have your blocks handy. Get your heels lined up there. Line up that front knee. Once you're there, bring your fingertips onto the tops of your shoulders. Let your elbows melt down a little bit. And feel that right shoulder drawing back, right? So it's drawing back towards the short edge of your mat back there. So you're kind of square to the long edge of the mat with your shoulders already. Make sure that left knee is coming out over the center of the foot. Really feel it. If you need to lift your heel up, that'll really help align that knee. Good. And then just unfold your arms. Let the hands come slowly down to your thighs. Turn the palms towards your thighs and then float the arms on up as you bring your gaze right out over the top of that left hand. Again, feeling the feet equaling the floor. Softening the tops of the shoulders down, coming into that power of your warrior two. Looking right out over the top of the hand, and imagine you're looking way beyond the wall. Maybe even picture something way out there that you'd like to see. From there, we're going to bring our right hand down onto our right hip and straighten our left leg out. And we're going to come on down with that left hand for triangle. So, you know, whether you like to use your leg or you like to use a block underneath your hand, come to where you like to be. If adding that top arm straight up from your shoulder allows that to happen, you can bring the hand up. Let yourself imagine that length now. Think about from your tailbone all the way through the spine and out through the top of your head. Let your thighs lift upward towards your hips. And now, if you can, let that right arm come down so you do a side stretch down towards your head so that the palm faces down, but it's reaching towards the front of your mat there. Your hand is. Nice long stretch there through the right side. And then bring that arm straight back up again where it was, up overhead. We're going to bend the left knee and come on back into warrior two from here. Pressing the feet gently away from each other. Softening through the shoulders. And then bringing our hands on down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. Adjust for your wide-legged forward bend. And as you come forward, if you'd rather have blocks, grab your blocks. And take your time here. Let one knee at a time bend. But see if you can stay there for a breath. So when you do bend one knee, you give that long leg time to stretch out in your inner thigh. Good. And then come on back into center. Let both knees bend for a second. Press the feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. And imagine your inner thighs melting their way behind you. And to bring yourself in to stay in the pose, you can use, you know that, whatever you'd like to be more comfortable. So if you like blocks under your forearms or your head, or maybe you like to go ahead and bring your hands down, just be mindful. Let yourself enjoy. If you can, let your inhales and exhales even out a little bit. One more nice full deep breath. And we are going to walk our hands out so we can walk back to that left foot and come on back into lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Walk through the tops of the feet a couple of times so you really stretch out your feet by pressing into your toenails one foot at a time. Good, and then come on back into dog. And let's come forward like we're coming into plank, but do that that same thing. Come to the top of one toe, one foot. So you're pressing, you're coming out like to plank, but your knee is bent. And then come on back into dog. So we'll do that a couple of times. We'll come forward, go to the opposite foot, press down into the top of your toes, and then come back to dog, and let's do that again. So kind of this little walk in towards plank, and then back to dog, and then the other leg again. Let yourself come down, and then back to dog. Good. And now let's all come out to plank, regular plank here. Lift one foot up, a little three leg. Put that foot down, do the other foot up a little bit. Good, and put it down. And come into a back bend if you choose to, right? However you want to do that. You can come down and come to chaturanga, coming into up dog, or you can come through to up dog or cobra. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Walk a little bit. And then from here, we're going to bring our right foot forward, and we're coming up for warrior two on the other side. So lining up those heels. Getting yourself in line there with that front knee. Once you're kind of okay in your legs, again, let your fingertips touch the top of your shoulders and really melt your shoulders down. So when your hands are here, it just encourages this length from the bottom of your ears through the sides of your neck, all the way through the tops of the shoulders, right? And you're kind of drawing your left shoulder back. You're square really to the long edge of your mat here. And then as you unfold the arms, it's so easy just to bring your hands down to your thighs, turn the palms down, and then when you float the arms on up into the warrior two arms, very, very easy to feel that sensation of the arms coming out of your back. So again, bringing your gaze out over the top of your hand, letting yourself keep that focus. Feel the feet gently pressing away from each other. Good. And then we'll bring our left hand down to our left hip, straighten our right leg out, and that right hand's going to come down for triangle. So again, as you come slowly out with the torso there, you decide what do you want to use. Do you want to be up on a block? Do you want to be down on your leg? Whether you feel like you want to add that top arm straight up from your shoulder or not is up to you. So again, feel the thighs gently lifting upward. Feel that sense of really being equal between your feet, with that extension out through, all the way out through the top of your head, so you have this full length. Lower the left arm down towards your head, turn the palm so it's down towards the floor, coming into more of a side stretch there. If that bothers your shoulder, don't do it. And then bring the hand on, arm back up again. We're going to bend the right knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. Feel like you're reaching even farther away from the midline with the tips of your fingers if you can. And then we'll bring the hands on down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel, and we're going to come on forward. So make your way forward. Use your blocks if you want. You know that. Go ahead if you need to bend knees a little bit, kind of shift around, do. But once you come back to center, whether your knees are bent or straight, keep them equal. And walk your hands over towards the right. You don't have to go all the way to the foot. You go as far as you want. Let your right hand come on up to your hip or your low back if possible. And if you want, you can roll your shoulder up a little bit. And then we'll bring our hands back down. We're going to walk back through center. And again, how far you go to the left, totally up to you. Use your block if you'd rather. And when you get there, if the left hand can float on up there, you can let yourself, if you want, roll your shoulder up towards the ceiling a little bit. And then bringing that left hand down, we'll walk on back into center. Take your time, bend both your knees for a second, and you'll have your hands down now. Lift your heels up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Imagine then that you're just, as you put them back down, that they're reaching a little bit farther away from each other. So they're going a little more towards the short edge of your mat. And then go ahead and come into being where you can stay in the pose. You know, you may decide you want support. You may want blocks. You may want to bring your hands back more towards between your feet, or it might feel better to keep yourself into that longer back. And just enjoy. Nice, full, deep breaths. One more nice breath here. Now press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Walk your hands out, find a flat back, and then we'll walk back to the right foot and come on back into lunge and back into down dog. Now this next is optional. If you'd like to do like 5 kriyas here, you can do them with me. So coming out to plank and through for an up dog, and then coming back to down dog, and then coming out to plank and through to your up dog, and then back to down dog, and then coming out and moving through to up dog, and back to down dog, and then coming out through to plank into up dog, and back to down dog. I think I've lost count. We're going to do one more. Coming on out to up dog, and back to down dog. If you want to do more, go for it. I don't know if that was 5 or 6 or 4, but okay. So if you need to do anything else, by all means do. Take your time. And then we'll meet back in down dog. And we're going to bring our left foot forward. And we're coming up for warrior 1. So do have your blocks handy here. Get your length of stance. Once you come on up, get your length of stance where you really feel good. When you bring your shoulders around square, you just feel right in that back leg, right in the front of the hip. It feels right for your knee, for your ankle, right? And then just have your hands on your hips for just a second and feel what your pelvis is doing, right? I've got my fingertips like right on my hip pointer bones. So my pelvis is tilted a little bit. Everybody's will be. You're not trying to tuck your tailbone forward. Your tailbone is actually reaching back a little bit. But even though that's happening, right, you still want to engage your low belly a little bit. So it's not to tuck your tailbone forward, but it's still a protection for your back, right? So from there, release your arms on down. And let's inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. Now you can bring your hands together if you like. In your warrior 1 mudra with the pointer finger up, or you can keep your hands apart. If you have your hands together, hug your elbows in a little bit with your elbows bent. And then imagine that your elbows reach up a little higher. And then you can decide if you want to keep your elbows bent, if you like to let your arms come straighter. Coming into your warrior 1 here. Equal between your feet. Let your breaths even out. Inhaling and exhaling fairly evenly. Good. And then bring your gaze back forward. Let your hands come to be in front of your chest, in front of your heart. Unfold your arms on down beside you. Let your palms face in towards your body. Straighten your front leg out. And now as your torso comes forward for pyramid, your arms are going to reach back. So your thumbs are facing down, your pinkies are facing up. And you can go as far as you want. You know, you can stay up high. You can go parallel to the floor. If you feel like, well, I want to go even lower and lower, go for it. And then when you're ready, release your hands down to block to the floor, whatever you want to use. If you need to adjust your stance a little bit, do. And now you want to keep your back leg nice and long. So really extend out into that length of your spine. Bring your left hand up to your left hip. And let yourself roll that shoulder up, palm down there on your sacrum. Of course, if you'd like to stretch the arm up in revolve triangle, you can. Or you can keep your hand down. Thighs engaging upward. Good. Feel that back foot on the floor. One more breath. And then let yourself release. Hand back down. Now if you like to fold over your leg, go for it. If it feels good to you to let yourself come forward, you can. Good. And then come on back up and get your blocks under your hands here. We're going to come into a lunge briefly. And from this lunge, we're going to launch ourselves on forward, lifting that right leg up into a little warrior three. If you can, once you get that right leg up back there, lift your left heel up for a second. So you're up on the ball of that right foot. And then put your left heel down, bend both your knees, bring your right knee in beside your left one. Both knees are bent here. And then when you inhale, again, stretch out into that warrior three. We'll do that one more time. Let yourself exhale, draw the knees towards each other, drop your head, kind of look at your knees. And then when you inhale, reach back again into your warrior three. And now you decide if you want to take your left hand off the block. You can put your left hand on your thigh. You can put it on your back, your hip. You can stretch it forward if you want. And if you want to practice trying to bring both hands up, by all means do. So take your time, be where you can. If you need to bend your knees a little bit, especially that supporting knee, go right ahead and do it. One more breath. And now, bring your hands back down because we're going to step back into lunge again. So take your time, come into your lunge, and then we're going to lower our right knee down to the floor. If you need a blanket underneath your knee, use it. And then shift your hips forward. Let yourself come as far as you can to feeling that release, both in the outer left hip and, of course, more openness through the front of the right hip. And then bring your left hand up towards the outside of your left knee, just above it. And just add a little twist there. So you're up pretty high. Your hand is on a block, or you can be on the floor, but it feels a little bit different sometimes when you're up a little bit higher. You get a little more into the front of that right hip. Feel the top of the right toes on the ground. And then come on back with both hands down. We're going to lift the back knee up, come on back into lunge, and we're going to make our way back to downward facing dog pose. Do what feels exactly right for you right now. Anything. It could be putting your knees down, it could be walking, it could be coming into child's pose, it could be another vinyasa or kriya. Take your time. Good. And then we'll meet back in down dog. And from here, we're going to bring that right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one, remember. And you do want your blocks handy, remember. And you do want to get yourself, once you start to come up, where you're just the most comfortable in this back, turn out of this back foot. So if you put your hands again on your hips for a second, and feel how your tailbone is reaching kind of back a little bit on a diagonal line, not tucking up under you, right? But still that zip up of the low belly. There you have it there. Still nice, easy. Feeling the shoulders nice and wide. Let's release our arms down beside us. And inhale the arms on up and overhead. Now again, if you like to do the clasp, you can. If you want to switch the clasp and do the other thumb on top and make yourself feel really odd, you can. Elbows can hug in towards your face, bend them a little bit. Hugging inward and then letting the elbows rise up higher. And then again, you can decide, elbows can stay bent, you can come into straighter arms. Feeling that lift right below the shoulder blade. Doesn't matter whether your hands are apart or together, you're still feeling that lift right at the base of your shoulder blades. Good, one more breath. And then let yourself bring your arms down beside you, and then bring your hands gently to meet in front of the chest. And now, front leg straightens, arms come down. And again, as you reach your hands back, your arms are straight, your palms face each other, Your thumbs end up facing down, your pinkies up. Thighs lift upward. And you only have to go like a couple of inches to, man, oh man, feel a lot of work going on in your legs, right? You can go farther. You can go parallel to the floor if you want. You can go even farther. Good. And then letting your hands come down to blocks of the floor. And now if you need to adjust your stance a little bit, do it, right? Because sometimes it just feels better to either get longer or shorter or wider or less. I mean, sometimes it feels better to line your heels up. Good. We're going to add that little twist. Right hand on up to the right hip. And rolling that shoulder up. And if possible, you can stretch the right arm up, but it is sure not necessary. That twist in the middle of the back in revolved triangle. Hard pose. Feel the back foot fully on the floor. Yes, nice. Lengthening out through the top of the head. And then go ahead and bring that hand back down. If you like to bow over the front leg, by all means do, but don't force that. That's if it feels like a relief. Good. And then come up enough, because we're going to bend the front knee, find lunge. Remember, we want our blocks to come on forward of us. And we're going to reach on into that warrior three. Now, once you get up with that left leg off the floor, lift your right heel so that you're up on the ball of the foot, the toes on that right foot for a second. And then once you've done that, it's going to feel good to put the heel back down, bend both knees, bring your knees in towards each other. Look at your knees. And when you inhale, stretch back into warrior three. So again, exhaling, bringing your knees in side by side, and inhale, stretching back. And we'll do that one more time. Knees bending, knees coming side by side. Inhale, stretching back into your warrior three. And now you play how you want. If you want that right hand to come up to your thigh or to your back, or maybe you want to reach the arm forward, or if you want to play with bringing both hands up, keeping the hips as square level as you can. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to reach back into lunge again. So take your time. Remember, as you come back into that lunge, if you need a blanket to put your knee down, get your blanket. Come on down with that left knee. Come to the tops of the toes. And shift your way a little forward if you can. Feeling that wonderful openness in the front of the left hip. And then that little twist of the right hand right above on the outside of that knee, and just letting yourself draw the left ribs towards that right inner thigh. Good. And then come on back, down with the hand, lift the back knee up, come on back to your lunge, and we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. So again, if you feel like doing a few kriyas here, come on out to plank, through for your up dog, and then back into down dog. So out and in to your up dog and back to down dog, and out and into up dog and back to down dog. And then one more time, into your up dog, back into down dog. This time stay in down dog. Walk to the tops of the feet, 1 foot at a time, curling so that you really feel the toenails pressing into the floor. Find your dog really easily, elbows hugging in. And then bend your knees. We're going to come forward to the front of the mat. Whether you jump or walk your way is totally up to you. Coming on into feet. Coming towards the front of the mat, come into your standing forward bend. And just breathe. Really now let go. Let your face go. Let your jaw go. If you like to slip your hands under your feet, like if your wrists are feeling pretty iffy, you can always turn your palms up and slip your hands under your feet. Whether you do just fingers under toes or get your whole palms underneath the balls of your feet. But you don't need to do that, obviously. And just breathe. Feel how the body moves when you inhale and exhale. Feel the top of the head releasing closer to the floor on your exhales. And then we're going to release our hands again to float up to our hips. Bend our knees, press into our feet equally as we rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And if you need to shift around a little bit, feel that lightness in your head, right? Enjoy that sense of being grounded through your feet, but light in your head, that floating sensation. And if your body needs to sway around a little bit, let it. Good, and then we'll release to let our arms come on down, shake it out just a little bit. Nice. And we're going to come on down onto our bellies on the floor. So actually, bring your mats. You guys turn your mats. I'm going to keep mine this way, but bring your short edge into a ball. Turn your mat. We'll say you guys will stay at the ball. I'm going to stay sideways just because of what we're doing. But just so if anybody's out there watching, you can see better. So, let's actually turn just for a second to do this. Actually, get yourself into a little child's pose with your toes touching the wall briefly, okay? Let yourself release into your low back. And then, from here, as your toes are still into the wall, you're going to creep your way forward onto your belly, okay? And once you get onto your belly, kind of get to where you can feel the balls of your feet into the baseboard and your toes are like curled a little bit. So you're actually touching the baseboard easily. So that when you lift up into a forearm plank, you can have your heels into the top of the baseboard, right? Probably, right? I mean, if you've got bigger feet, your feet will be above, the heels will be above it. But your toes are enough forward where you don't feel real uncomfortable in your feet. Press into those heels. Imagine you're trying to make your heels come farther apart. So your inner thighs are reaching up towards the ceiling. It's pretty crazy. And then come down and roll onto your right forearm. We're going to do a side forearm plank, right? So from here, let yourself, if you can, use the wall to help you again. When you lift up, you've got your foot in the wall. You might even, want to let the top foot come up a little bit and bend the knee. Let yourself put a little more into the outside of that right. Yeah, you can do a little tree in your side plank here if you want, or you can just keep both feet, just let the left knee bend a little bit if you want. Or if you want, you can try to lift the foot up, off the left leg up off the right one, which is hard, especially if your bottom foot's into the wall all the way. But you can try coming away from the wall a little bit, and so the bottom foot's not quite in, and then you can maybe lift the top foot up and it can help you. It can be kind of fun. Anyway, just play. Right, so your bottom foot's not quite in the wall. And of course, when you're like, and then you can push the top foot. You feel that, Sherman, where you can press the ball of the left foot into the wall a little bit. When the bottom one's not quite at the wall, use the ball of the foot. There you go. We're going to come down because that's enough. We're going to do the other side. So again, you can play. You can be a little further away, lift up to your forearm plank, and like press that ball of the right foot in there. Or you can keep both feet down. Whatever works for you, right? Don't even lift your hips up if it's too much. You can play like a tree. You can do like that top leg into like you're doing tree in a side forearm plank, which is hard. Don't overdo. When your shoulders have had enough, let yourself come on down. And once you come down, come into a Sphinx Pose. Let it feel like really releasing to get your elbows under your shoulders, open up through the front of the body there. And then bend your right knee, let yourself flex your foot, and a little half bow there. If you want to reach back with your hand, you can. You can reach back with your right hand. You don't have to. If it feels good to do that, you can, or you can just keep the knee bent. And then we're going to bring that hand down, arm down, and go to the other side. Left leg bends. Again, you can just stay here. That's a nice quad stretch already. If you reach back and push your foot into your hand a little bit, you feel your quad differently, but you also feel that openness in your shoulder. And then come on down all the way to the floor and bring your arms down alongside you. Inhale into a little locust pose here. Reaching back towards the wall behind you with your fingertips and your toes. Doesn't mean to be high, need to be high. Come on back down. Bend both your knees. And you decide, do you want to reach back and get your feet at all for a bow? If you do, you can. You can press your feet into your hands. You can lift your feet up a little bit or not, right? You can even stay down with your head, pull your feet in towards your buttocks if you want to get that kind of stretch in your quads rather than pulling the heels up away. Or you can actually do that with your breath. You can come down when you exhale. Inhale, lift up, push into the hands. Exhale when you come down. That's optional. Well, we probably had entirely enough of that, so finish off. And we're going to come on back onto our forearms now so that you're headed back like you're coming to child's pose, but don't go all the way. Come onto your forearms. Let your hips be up in the air. Let yourself release there. Now to come up into dolphin, you might want your heels up the wall, so that's up to you. You might have to crawl your way back a little bit. So you don't have to use the wall unless you want to. And then you can lift up into your dolphin pose, which hopefully will feel like a huge relief. So elbows hugging in, letting yourself find that release between the shoulder blades. Feel the weight of your head. And then come down with your knees, take a little break. Although that kind of felt like a break, didn't it? And then if you want to go up again, you can. And if you don't. If you want to go up and you decide you want to lift the leg up and all that stuff, you're more than welcome to do that. And if you're like, yeah, no, thank you. I don't want to do any lifting up here. You can just relax. You can be in child's pose. You can sit up on your heels if you'd rather have your head above your heart again. Good. Coming to rest however feels best for you, just for a couple of breaths, whether you want to be sitting up or being in child's pose. And then we're going to come on around with our legs and come around to have our legs in front of us. Let your knees bend. And hold on behind your thighs as your feet are on the floor. Walk your feet back a little bit towards a little boat. Now, if you know your back hurts you in boat pose, just don't do so much, right? So when you shift back, if you can lift your legs up so the lower legs are parallel to the floor, and you feel like, okay, it's easy to bring my ribs towards my thighs a little bit here. So instead of collapsing in your chest, remember, you've got that length. And if that's enough for you, stay there, because that's a lot of work. You can have your hands holding your legs and still really feel the core of the body. You can let go if you want. You You can let go of the legs. You can stretch the legs long while you're holding them, or you can let go of them, let them be long, or you can, use your hands to draw the legs up towards you if you want. Play, right? Think of it as being a playful boat pose. Yes, except don't roll back and bang your head in the wall. That would be the only thing that might not make you feel so playful. I've done that before, trust me. And when you're ready to come out of it, let the soles of the feet come towards each other into Baddha Konasana. Let the knees just gently reach away from each other. Sit up tall for a second. Whether you hold, remember, you don't want to grab your toes and lift them up off the floor. You can hold your ankles, your shins, whatever feels good that you're able to just lengthen upward. Feel your sitting bones in the ground. And if it feels like a relief to come forward, you can let yourself come on forward. If it feels like even more of a relief to release your head to hang a bit, that's fine. All of you know you're coming forward from your low back. So once you get forward, if it's like, oh, I just want to let myself hang there, then go for it. Just let the hips release. And you can use support under your knees if that feels better. If you feel any iffiness in either your knees or your hips, support can be great. Good. One more breath. And now, easy as you start to slowly rise back up. You might even want to let your hands help your knees come on up. Stretch your legs on out in front of you. Kind of shake them out a little bit. You can massage a little bit if you need to around your knees, up into your thighs. We are going to come down onto our backs. So be mindful as you come on down. Let your knees come on in towards your chest. And then cross, it doesn't matter, one ankle over the other one. And you can either just have your hands right on your knees or below your knees and pull the knees down. Or some of you might want to reach around the outside of your knees and legs and hold on to your feet. That's up to you. Whichever one feels best. So let the low back and the hips release. And then switch the ankle that's on top, right? And again, you can just have your hands resting there on the tops of your shins or your knees, or you can reach to get your feet. So your low back is really melted down into the ground. Good. And then come on back, uncross your ankles. Have your knees still stay in there towards your chest, but stretch your arms out beside you on the floor. And then extend your right leg up longer. It doesn't have to be totally straight. And as you exhale, bring that right foot over like you're reaching it towards your left hand. And you don't have to go all the way, but you can go towards that hand as far as you want to go. And then use your belly to bring you back up. Once that right leg gets up there, bend it back again and straighten your left leg out longer. And as you exhale, bring your left foot towards your right hand. So it's a twist, obviously. And then when you're ready, use your belly to draw you back into center. And then extend the right leg long again, bend the left knee. And see if you can just keep doing that from side to side, just a little bit. You can stay. If you're like, oh my gosh, all I want to do is put my foot right there into my hand and stay. If that feels good, go for it. If you're like, yeah, no, that's not what feels good. I want to keep moving. You can keep moving. And you can also stop when you want. maybe your body needs something else, right? Before Shavasana, if there's anything at all, sounds like you need to do, take your time. If you need another kind of a little twist or another kind of a little hip opener, maybe you need something else entirely. Maybe you need to do a bridge or supported bridge or a plow pose or so anything at all. Or nothing except getting ready for Shavasana is great too. We'll start to get lights. If anybody needs a bolster, a blanket, remember you want to be comfortable. You can always use the wall behind you if you want. And if the wall sounds like a good idea to swing your legs up and it sounds good to you, go for it. Appreciate having these few minutes and trusting that your body knows what to do. It's really, it does. We just have to get out of our own way. And that's just by letting yourself find those little quiet places where your body has time to benefit in the way it needs. And if you keep coming back to refocusing on your breath, those little quiet places sneak in there before you even know they're there. So just give yourself the gift of these few minutes. Letting the breath lead you into that peaceful place, really, as you allow yourself to completely and fully relax. yourself, allow those breaths to bring you back into physically wanting to move again however you need to. You know, take your time. Let your fingers, your toes lead you. You can move on into doing what your arms and legs want to do. Stretch or bend. And you know you're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side if you're comfortable to do that. You can come onto either side. If you don't have a blanket there, you might want to use your arm as a pillow. Just appreciate the ground a little bit longer. When you feel ready and okay to rise up, see if you can just let yourself float your way up so that you still feel very light, especially in your head. Once you get up to sitting, you feel like your head is just starting to float up there again on top. Get comfortable in how you're sitting for your hips, whether you feel like stretching your legs out or crossing them or sitting on a blanket. Just let your eyes be closed and enjoy now starting to feel energy coming back by getting up to sitting, letting the breaths gradually deepen. They probably already have. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently together there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Namaste. Happy Tuesday.